Hello, and welcome to We Live for Saturday, your favorite college football podcast. I'm your co-host, Mike. John is with me as always as your other co-host, but with us today, we have a very special guest. We have USCJ of the USCJ Lost in the Sauce podcast.
Hey, fellas, thank you guys for having me, man. It's an absolute honor, man, to kind of do some going back and forth, man, with the Big Ten rivals, man.
Exactly. And it's awesome to have you on the show, sir. So we really appreciate you coming on to talk about, we were talking off air about how John and I just don't have as many connections to the newer Big Ten editions, the former Pac-12 schools. So it's awesome for you to become a friend of the pod, to come on, give your time to us. We really appreciate it. Mm-hmm. And we will hit you back in, whatever way possible. Hopefully not, though, you beating us on the field.
Hey, well, you guys right now, I mean, you guys did it to us, man. You guys are 1-0 right now since we've been in the conference. So we got payback. We got to get it back, man. But
I'm kind of glad we don't play this year. I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of glad, because I know after last year, I know we would get your best shot this year for sure. But It is awesome having you on the show. And John, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I was agreeing. I was like, if we played you guys this year, there would be we would definitely have a target. That game would be circled for Lincoln Riley, I'm sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, we got lucky. We got lucky with the draw there, sir. But we'll talk about all that and more. This is a USC Trojans preview, not a Minnesota preview. So we'll try to mostly focus on that. But it is great to have you on. And just, for our podcast audience, love to know a little more about you. How did you become a USC fan, and what got you into podcasting?
Right. So I'm from Los Angeles, born and raised in Los Angeles, man. I grew up in the inner city, man, which is probably, I don't know if you ever been to LA or not, if you ever seen the Coliseum.
I used to live in Los Feliz.
Oh, okay. So I'm from where you call the Crenshaw district, probably about 4 miles from the Coliseum, literally. So I grew up. So being a fan of the other side of town in Westwood, the UCLA Bruins really wasn't an option for me. Yes, I did. I was recruited by different schools growing up. Ironically, USC wasn't one of those schools, so I ended up going to college somewhere else. However, I never stopped being a fan. Always been a fan. Got love for the program, and so I started my podcast in 2022. Lincoln Riley became the head coach of USC, but I started seeing some interactions between Oklahoma fans and USC. So I just kind of ironically just responded one day to an Oklahoma fan, and I just kind of noticed the feedback, and I responded in a short video. It might have been like 1 minute or something. And so I remember the feedback that I got. And from then on, we could say it just happened by accident, but it just kind of, nothing happens by accident. I don't believe in that. But it just kind of happened that way, and I just kind of kept it going. One thing led to another. Next thing I know, I got a podcast with almost 8,000 subscribers. I always look and say, man, how in the world did that happen? But hey, I say it like this: to God be the glory, man.
I'd say 8,000 subscribers. You're doing a lot of stuff right.
Yeah.
hey, I've gained relationships, former players, current players, player families, and from there, I'm interviewed like half the 2026 class now, which is the number 1 class in the country. And so I started interviewing the players when I came on, and it just kind of went from there, one thing to another, man. And I kind of had to learn. I never really had experience in radio, so I kind of had to learn on the fly, man. Just kind of learn as I go. The YouTube and the whole, communication thing. So I mean, it's all new to me. So
that's impressive stuff, man.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
you're interviewing those guys, and that's cool always for recruits to have a platform that's a little different from the traditional media outlets. So I love that that's become a thing too. You're giving us ideas, sir. You are giving us ideas.
Get involved with the recruits. Get involved with the parents, man. Always, you can always see them. Reach out to them on Twitter, message them, and I promise you, man, it'll grow.
Cool.
All right.
I love that.
I didn't know we were getting a tutorial here.
Yeah.
I love this. Awesome. Well, that is great, sir. Thank you so much for giving us a little bit about your background. I got to ask though, before we move on, where did you go to school then?
I went to school. I had a full-ride scholarship to Oregon State, but there's some things. I was kind of young and dumb at the time. I lost that scholarship, so I ended up going to a Division I AA school in Louisiana. It's called Grambling. So that's a whole nother story. But yeah.
Oh wow, that you know what? I feel like we'll have to have you on in the off season, and we can hear that story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
come back because that sounds like a story.
It's a story. It's a story.
That sounds like a good one for sure.
Hey, just say put it like this: young and dumb. Lost my scholarship. So you learn. You live and learn.
Absolutely,
for sure.
That's very very cool.
I play running back, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Running back. That was going to be my next question. Running. So you were used to having attention then too. That's a lot of pressure having the spotlight at a
somewhat. I'm not too tall, not too short. 6 feet. I was 228. 220 when I graduated from high school, but 228 now. But I was a running back.
That's 6 feet. That's pretty good size for a running back. That's
228. Yeah, that's sizable. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right. I love this. This is exciting. All right. So let's talk about USC. I think in terms of USC, I want to talk a little bit up front about Lincoln Riley. So this is going to be a little bit of a wind-up. He was handed the keys to Oklahoma by former longtime great head coach Bob Stoops, and Riley largely did amazing. He dominated Big 12 play consistently, racking up conference titles. He coached multiple Heisman Trophy winners. The only place he failed was in the college football playoff, where he largely struggled. But, I mean, he did really well up until that point. When Riley signed a $100 million deal to go to USC, it was seen as a big coup by the Trojans. They got seemingly the best offensive coach in America to take over their program. A return to prominence felt near. And in year one, things worked out almost as planned. QB Caleb Williams won the Heisman. Better yet, the team went 11-3, 8-1 in the Pac-12. And had they won the Pac-12 title game, they would have made the college football playoff. But since then, things have fallen off a little bit. Williams returned for the next season, but while USC scored plenty of points, the defense fell off a cliff. They dropped to 8-5, 5-4 in the Pac-12. Then they joined a little bit tougher conference in the Big Ten and went just 6-6, 4-5 last year in Big Ten play. Not only did USC have a losing Big Ten record, but they lost to a Maryland squad that had 0 other conference wins. So that had to have been a low point for sure. So I will give credit to USC for beating LSU to start the year and Texas A&M to end it in the Las Vegas Bowl. But by and large, Lincoln Riley really struggled in conference play with several close losses. The good news is the defense got a lot better last year under Danton Lynn. The bad news is the offense regressed a little bit. So I got to ask, how do you feel about Lincoln Riley's tenure so far, and what do you expect from him this season?
I think I'm a little more given than a lot of fans, and a lot of our fans, man. If you in Los Angeles, man, a lot of them not trying to hear it, man. I mean, you're talking about 8 Heisman trophies, multiple national championships. The expectations and the standard is second to none. I mean, we look at ourselves, as one of the upper echelon blue blood type of programs. However, I understand that when he came over from Oklahoma, I understand that there was transition taking place, and what I mean by that is there was NIL, there was transfer portal, there were some things that were involved that a lot of people didn't realize that we weren't up to par as it relates to that. And I think Lincoln Riley was trying to go into a gunfight. I always tell everybody this, with a plastic straw, not even a knife. I mean, literally, like it just wasn't, because the NIL aspect, because of some of the things that USC had got penalized for years prior back. They didn't want to find themselves, the university didn't want to find themselves in a sticky situation. So they played it safe to the point to where we found ourselves losing out on some recruits. We hosted some big time recruits, but then we lost a lot of big time recruits based on the fact that, look, this is another aspect of this. And it's not just recruiting anymore. It's not just establishing relationships, but it's NIL that you got to couple with that. And that's the reality of it now. And if you're not up to par, you're going to lose some recruits and you're not going to be able to have the ability to recruit. So that's where we kind of found ourselves. So when we look at it, first year, Caleb Williams, of course, we were all drinking the Kool-Aid at that point because we won the Heisman. We projected to go to the playoffs. We didn't miss out. So none of us thought that we would have had the second year the way we had it. But, I guess, a lot of people say that we held on to Alex Grinch, the defensive coordinator, too long. But I always tell everybody this: if we didn't hold on him too long, we probably wouldn't have Danton Lynn right now. So, I think everything happens and I'll let you guys go because I can go on and on about this, man, because I'm passionate about it, because I just think that our fan base had to really come to the realization that we did not the transition wasn't as fluid as we thought it was going to be, and as a result, we just kind of got what my podcast says, lost in the sauce.
I think the NIL is a really good point, and we also cheer for a program that is doing pretty well now, not as well as you guys, but doing pretty well now, but really was not ready for the NIL thing to happen. Right. And, we lost Bucky Irving. He played 1 year for us and then went to Oregon. And
I forgot about this.
And after he left, we were like, oh boy, we better donate our money or we're going to lose all our players, kind of thing. And so we made that transition under a coach who had already had big success and already had goodwill. Lincoln Riley, among the fan base, Lincoln Riley was still pretty new in the job. So he didn't have that goodwill built up. So I can see where that would be kind of a misunderstood, like a resentment of him, even when it's not necessarily his fault. Things were not going as well. And I guess, I feel like the biggest reason people are talking about USC is the recruiting. You mentioned it. So let's talk about it briefly. You guys are recruiting up a storm right now. For considering the year that USC had last year, to have, what'd you say, it's ranked the number 1 class in the nation right now?
It's ranked number 1. That's right.
That's amazing ever. But coming off a bad year, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a testament to USC's staying power as a blue blood, as a helmet school. We like to say that there are some helmet schools in the Big Ten who think they're still helmet schools, but aren't. Looking at you, Nebraska. But USC still recruits like a helmet school and wins like a helmet school. So you guys are still, it seems like, on the up and up, and like Lincoln Riley is about to, with this class, he can build what you're looking at, which is, you want to compete for championships.
Absolutely. And I always tell everybody this, all we got to do is really stay. We want to recruit. We're a national brand. We recruit all over, but we always got to, what Pete Carroll did, the old USC coach who won national championships, you got to build a fence around California. California has so much talent there that we don't, if you look across college football right now, multiple rosters, California players are sprinkled all over the place. And I think now with this new general manager we got
in the country.
Yeah. They say California, Texas, and Florida are supposed to be the big 3, but we know college football, high school players play ball everywhere. But this new general manager, though, he made it a big priority to go after our Southern California players. And as a result, we're starting to see we reaping the benefits of what we, recruiting these California guys. So that's what we're seeing. And we got now the number one class in the country. And yes, it's NIL, but the relationship aspect, we had guys like Isaiah Gibson, Justice Terry, guys who one is at Georgia, one is at Texas. And we have multiple guys, Hilton Stubbs, who's at Miami now. He was actually on my show after he committed, and then he decommitted. And, that's the part I'm talking about. Like, we have the relationship wise and the coaches to get these guys in, but we just didn't have the other part. Now the other part is there. And I think USC is moving very fluid right now as it relates to recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's bonkers what USC is doing on the recruiting trail. All I'm going to say is our 2027 quarterback goes to Mater Dei High School, and just leave him alone. Okay. Fury and in Ferreira. Just leave that guy alone. Just let him out of Southern California.
Is he from Minnesota?
Let him out of California. No, Mater Dei High School. He's a California kid.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he's so just let us have him, and don't recruit him, and we'll be great. Everything will be good. I'll feel good about things. All right. Let's talk. Should we talk a little offense, John?
Yeah, let's do that. So when it comes to the offense, like Mike and I talked a lot last year, and we actually had USC kind of struggling a little bit, mainly because we were talking about the especially for the line of scrimmage, the offense and the defensive line, and I think that what ended up happening, which was to our surprise, was the pass protection was pretty solid. It wasn't always fantastic, but it was pretty solid. Or I shouldn't say the pass protection. The run game.
The run game. The run blocking was good. The pass blocking was bad.
Right.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was really amazing to see that the run game was working spectacularly. A lot. I mean, even against we saw it in both Mike and I were at the USC game at Minnesota, and
Woody Marks was real. He was legit.
Yeah.
And that run blocking was incredible. And it was just that pass pro that was just not up to snuff. And we talked a lot about some of the new the former Pac-12 teams coming in and having some issues here and there at the line of scrimmage, because the Big Ten is just a little bit of a transition. And I think that what we ended up seeing is, I think the size and some of the talent was there. It just wasn't, I guess, across the board. What I loved about USC last year was when they were running the ball. And it just was so unfortunate when they went away from it and tried to force the pass. And I guess, I don't know. And you can tell us if we're totally off base here.
No, you're not. You're absolutely right on.
Yeah.
I mean, we wondered the same thing as you wondering right now. Like, it was so frustrating. We were having success. It probably wouldn't even win in the fourth quarter against Michigan if we would have just kept running the ball.
Yeah.
I mean, multiple games. Penn State.
You might have beat us.
Minnesota. Yeah.
Well, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Yeah. Penn State. We went overtime with Penn State. All we had to do was keep running the ball, and so it was mind-boggling for a lot of us. And I went back and I actually looked up some stats from 2018. In Lincoln Riley, he was 50% run pass ratio, 50% running, and in 2019 it was like 50%, 50-50. And then all the way, and the first year at USC, it was like 50, 60, 40. So I kind of saw it somewhat go down. But I think the reason that most of the running percentages has somewhat gone down, primarily because he had running quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Baker Mayfield. He's had Spencer Rattler, all of these guys that ran the ball, Jalen Hurts. And so we saw the run percentage go down, but it adds a lot more. And I don't know why he got away from the running the ball. Even if we didn't have those guys running, we had success running the ball, like you guys alluded to, with Woody Marks. And I just think he had a tendency, and I'm praying. I told the fan base that I think he had to learn this lesson, because I heard Kirk Herbstreit, I think he said this has got to be the best 6-6 team. You know how many we lost 6 games in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Like, we were winning every game. Yeah. And so all due to lack of running. So yeah, to you guys' point, I'm hoping and praying that Lincoln Riley learned his lesson, because I mean, we literally could have won, and then we could have kept our defense off the field, won't put the stress on them by passing the ball and trying to score quick.
Well, and it wasn't for lack of talent, I think, at the wide receiver position. And frankly, both of us we're actually big fans of Miller Moss. I know that there's a lot of contention amongst USC fans that whether or not he was really good or not. And we'll get to Jaden Mayava here in a bit. But it definitely felt like it was the play calling that was the problem on the field, and the lack of balance, I guess, out there, and putting so much pressure, I guess, on the shoulders of Miller Moss, which, I understand he's a power 5 quarterback. He just comes with the territory, but it was just a little confusing. So I'm just curious as well. As far as like the calls on the field, like, are we wrong to be blaming Lincoln Riley or? Well,
I think he's part of the blame.
Yeah.
But then there were some open lanes. Like, the quarterback has the option to run it. And there were some times that, Miller didn't take off. Jaden as well. Once he got in, he didn't take off at certain times, but then certain times he did. We saw him take off a little more than what Miller did. I think it was Nebraska game, Notre Dame game, I think Nevada. We saw him take off. And I think that's why it wasn't that Miller wasn't a good quarterback, because he is a good quarterback. However, if you can't be a sitting duck back there, at least not in nobody's. Your quarterback, I told you guys last year, he was extremely, and I remember watching film on him. I'm like, man, this guy's moving and grooving. He's in and out. He's looking like he's all world back there. And but I said to myself, didn't say it to the fan base. I said if Miller could just kind of scramble a little bit, like you guys' quarterback, when I was reviewing you guys' film, I said we'll be okay. Your quarterback, I remember him throwing on a run, a couple of times, and then he was taking what the defense gave him. Yeah. If we take what the defense give him, you will have success because you already have the arm. You already got chemistry with the wide receivers. All you got to do is take what they give you. When the pocket collapses, just all you got to do is run. You don't have to be fancy. Just run. So it's somewhat on Lincoln and it's somewhat on the quarterback play.
Sure. Well, how do you think that do you think the offensive philosophy is going to change this year? Do you have faith that Lincoln is going to be able to adjust and your offensive coordinator to be able to make those decisions? Because it seemed like some in-game decisions just weren't being made and they should have been able to adjust on the fly. Because like we said, it was mind-boggling to see the run game work so well and then just to go away from it when it was working. So do you think you expect some changes here?
It has to be. The boosters, the fan base, this is LA. It's not, it's different. And the pressure will be applied. The Los Angeles media, you said you lived in Los Angeles, right?
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's different. And they will definitely apply the pressure. So I think, the change is going to have to be made. And here's the thing. You guys are in Minnesota guys. So I'm a USC guy. You guys can recognize the issue. We all can recognize the issue. Everybody's recognizing the issue. I know at some point he's possibly recognizing the issue based on the information that's being delivered from our fan bases, your fan bases, and pretty much all across media. So I think it's a lot on the line. Like it's major. This is going to be the fourth year. You got the tools. You got some talent.
Yeah.
Utilize your talent. And so yes, I think yes, it's going to have to change. Yeah. I don't think it's no other way. I don't want to put any negative information out there as far as what I think could happen, but I think it has to happen this year.
Sure. No, that's fair. And look, I think, Mike and I would both agree on this, that it's not, we don't think USC is going to be down for long. Well, like we'd already established with the NIL.
Yeah. Lincoln Riley didn't forget how to coach. He just got a little stubborn.
Yeah.
He'll be, USC is coming back with the recruiting, with everything.
Mm-hmm.
It'll just be, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm excited this year, John, to thinking about some of these position groupings because USC's got a lot of talent.
Yeah. And talking about that, exactly. We'll transition into the quarterback here. I know we saw a little bit of Jaden Mayava last year. It was a little up and down. He definitely threw some ducks and got intercepted here and there, which unfortunately lost them some games. But he's a threat. He's a threat with his legs. He's an athlete. He's a big kid. But then
big arm.
Oh, big arm. Yeah, and a big arm. So, but then also there's Hassan Longstreet. This freshman. He's a 5-star. We expect him to be a backup. But do you think Longstreet is going to see the field? And what are your thoughts on Mayava after seeing what you saw last year?
Well, my thoughts were. We'll deal with Mayava for a second here. My thoughts with Mayava was, it was he went 3-1. I'll say that as a starter, he went 3-1. He beat Texas A&M, he beat UCLA, he beat Nebraska, and so he lost that one game to Notre Dame, which ironically, Notre Dame, who had the number one defense, he did throw for the most yards against Notre Dame, which was 360 yards last year. Penn State quarterback didn't even do that, Drew Allar. In the game, the playoff game. So I think with that being said, I think he has a lot of talent. Now, are you going to channel your energy, channel your talent and be able to make it work for you? I think with him, when you look at most of the Notre Dame game, except the last 4 minutes, that dude was having a phenomenal game. Like seriously. And I can argue that last play, that first interception was a push-off, but that's a whole nother story. However, the way he came out in the Texas A&M game, it was unacceptable. That first half of that Texas A&M game, he came out, he just looked rattled, he looked shaken, and that's the Jaden Mayava that we don't need to see. However, the second half of that Texas A&M game, he just started coming out throwing out bombs and missiles, and it's like, where has that guy been at? So, as far as him, I think his upside is strong. And one thing, me personally, I would never do as far as questioning Lincoln Riley. One thing I can say about Lincoln Riley is he is a quarterback. They consider him the quarterback guru. So I'm going to trust him. I'm going to have to trust him with this one because he did name Jaden Mayava the starter. However, I do think Hassan Longstreet, he is a 5-star prospect. He was committed to Texas A&M, and he is a mobile quarterback. I would say very mobile. I would say he's probably he might be more of a Lincoln Riley quarterback, maybe somewhat than Jaden Maiava. Now, Jaden Maiava, according to Lincoln Riley, was hurt, so he didn't run as much. So we'll see what happens this year. I think if he does take off and run, he'll establish himself as a Lincoln Riley quarterback. But Hassan Longstreet, man, I mean, he's a phenomenal talent. I can't take nothing away from him. Do I see him coming in and starting this year? My buddy was on the field during the spring game, which was a closed spring game. And, he told me, he said, well, this is high school. One thing about it, high school to college is a huge transition, especially at the quarterback position. Lincoln Riley's offense is somewhat of I'm not going to say complicated, but you got to know what you're doing in order to check downs, the whole thing. So I would say right now, I feel comfortable with Hassan Longstreet being the backup, but I think Jaden Maiava is actually going to be the one that's going to run with it this year. And we're going to stay positive, and hopefully he maintains the focus and the energy to carry this team.
Sure. Okay. Well, sounds good. Yeah. Well, let's keep moving on here. Let's get to the running backs. Obviously, we already spoke very highly of the run game last year, and you no longer have Woody Marks, who was absolutely phenomenal, a real stud out there, and was doing incredible things. Would have loved to see more of him. But this year, what is the state of USC's run game in 2025? And I know we talked a little bit about it already, but referring to Lincoln Riley, learning his lesson as well, but just kind of curious what your thoughts are on I know there's a returning star, correct me if I'm wrong here, but there's Brian Jackson.
Yes.
And then we have Eli Sanders and Wayman Jordan, who is a JUCO transfer.
Yes.
So what's the running back room look like here? Who should we expect to rise to the top?
Well, right now, I think they're all three in a battle. They're getting ready to be in a big-time battle. Wayman Jordan, man, he's a transfer from the state of Florida who won the Heisman last year in JUCO. So, I mean, he's built like a brick, man. I think some people kind of compare him to like a Alvin Kamara type of guy. So that's that. And then Brian Jackson is what we call the Lindell White, almost his identical twin. I mean, he did his thing. He balled in the Texas A&M game, and so he's strong. And then Eli Sanders, man, he's a blazer that came from New Mexico, was very, very fast. So we may see all of them, man, but right now it kind of looks like Wayman Jordan may be in the league, according to some reports. So, like I said, he won a Heisman. He won a Heisman in JUCO.
That's amazing. It's interesting because JUCO, you don't get as many great players from JUCO as you used to. So that's exciting to get one.
Right.
I mean, I think it's really exciting for any kid. I think a lot of these kids who go to USC, who transfer there, are obviously it's exciting. It's exciting to move to LA. There's lots of things to do there. It's new, especially for some of these kids who live elsewhere. So I think that's great. That's cool. Good to hear. But right now, I mean, I guess it's kind of up in the air. But overall, do you think it's going to be as good as last year's?
I think so. Provided the offensive line, we are. If I would say any weak spot right now, and I hate to use that word weak, but we did have a transfer, DJ Wingfield from Purdue. He was a starter at Purdue, 5 years in college, and now the NCAA, for whatever reason, is kind of his case is being reviewed. He has to go to court August 8th, and so he was a projected starter. However, we got a big guy, Elijah Page. He was on the offensive line. He's been this is his second year starting now, so I think he's going to be okay. And then offensive guard, we'll see what happens, man. We got some guys that we're trying to move and groove as relates to that. We got a center that came from Syracuse, who I feel like Reed, who will be starting at the center spot. Tobias Raymond probably be at tackle. So I think our offensive line is going to be okay, but provided those guys stay strong, I think we will have a successful run game.
Well, it looks like they're not young. You have redshirt sophomore. Otherwise, you have redshirt seniors here, juniors. So it seems pretty solid, at least for experience that you have up there, which is a big deal, especially out the offensive line. You want your offensive line old, that's for sure. So,
right.
What do you think is going to be the difference here this year? Do you think it's going to be a little bit better at pass protection than it was last year, or is it going to be more balanced, or do you think the run blocking is going to be just as dominant?
I think it'll be more balanced. I think you're using the exact word. I think it'll be balanced. One thing about it, we had a few guys to leave out early. You guys know when the NFL draft comes up, multiple guys depart. So we saw guys like Elijah Page that was already in there. Justin Towner, he came in at left tackle. I believe he was at left tackle. I think Elijah Page was out. And so we saw him and Tobias Raymond, those younger guys, get the experience against a good team, SEC team, caliber team. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people were surprised at how they performed in the bowl game. And so, the future is bright as it relates to those guys. So if they can maintain that type of consistency, I think we'll see more of a balanced attack, and it'll be a balanced run and pass type of offense.
Elijah Page is a dude.
Yeah, he's a beast. He was committed to Notre Dame, and we was able to flip him.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. Yeah. Get those away from Notre Dame.
Well, Absolutely. Talking about pass pro here, with the receiving room, like last year, obviously USC always has good receivers, no matter what. They just always do. They've got a lot of speed, a lot of skill. And last year we were able to see Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon, who were phenomenal, and I think just got better as the year went on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then you got a transfer here of Prince
Stratton.
Yeah. And then Zacharias Williams. Is that correct? Okay.
Zacharias Williams,
Yeah, so what do you think this receiver room compared to last year? What do you think it's going to look like?
Well, you got those two returning guys. Both of those guys are some phenomenal athletes. I think it may be a little better, man. You look at those guys. I think they're going to be slotted in as a starter. Jacoby Lane and Mekhi Lemon. Those two are second to none. I mean, I got them paired as one of the best duos in college football right now, hands down. And matter of fact, PFF just ranked Mekhi Lemon as the number one receiver in the country. I don't know if you guys saw that or not. PFF, you guys can look it up. Don't quote me on it. Go look it up. But PFF ranked them. And so, but now as we look at the third possible receiver, I think it's going to be either Zacharias Williams, the transfer for Utah, who's originally from Los Angeles, but he wanted to come back and be home. And Utah said that was their leading receiver, and he ended up in the transfer portal coming to us. So him and Prince Stratton, who of course played with Boise State, played playoff experience, 6'5" guy, I think 200-some pounds. I think one of those guys is going to be slotted as a third guy. And so the receiver room is just, we load. Like you say, we've never USC, man. Yeah, USC, whether it's Drake London or Monsei Brown, it goes on and on. So that's not a weak spot, ever going to be a weak spot, I don't think, with USC. So I think that's kind of like a strong spot for us.
Sure. Okay, well, one last thing.
You and Ohio State, it must be nice.
Yeah. Well, one last position here, just touching on the tight end a little bit. Do you think the tight end position is going to be featured a little bit more this year?
I think so. It was featured last year, and it was a lot of up the middle stuff. But we got, we got some guys, man. We got some incredible guys. But I think, to your point, I would like to see it featured more. Mm-hmm. Some different design stuff, man, as opposed to just coming up the middle, some crossing routes. Who knows? Some not coming out the backfield, but just some different design stuff for the tight end. And I'm hoping so. We recruited the position well. We got the number one tight end in the country right now. So if we want to keep him, his name is Mark Bowman at Modern Day High School. If we want to keep him, we better run some tight end stuff in order to keep our recruits.
So just one last thing, I'm just curious of what transfer or freshman do you think is going to make the most immediate impact if you had to pick one guy?
Wow, if I had to pick a transfer, man, I'm gonna give you one on offense and defense. If I had to pick a transfer on, and really that's kind of not fair, but the transfer is Wayman Jordan. I think he's gonna have an instant impact to running back. But I'll just go ahead and give you one on defense as well. DJ Harvey from San Jose State, and Bishop Fitzgerald from North Carolina State. Both of those one is a safety and one's a cornerback. I think both of those guys are gonna do a phenomenal job. But one sleeper freshman defensive tackle, Floyd Boucard, who's originally from Canada, he's actually he was committed to Oklahoma, committed to us, came in the spring. I think he's a sleeper. And of course, we got a couple minutes. It's sad. It's crazy. I can't stop with it. Jakeem Stewart, he was the number one recruit out of Louisiana. I think he's going to have a phenomenal year as well. So believe it or not, man, we are loaded. So multiple guys are coming to my mind right now, but we're not going to be the same team as last year. I can guarantee you that.
That sounds like a good transition to defense.
I think so.
So you were talking about, let's just finish the conversation about the D-line. I'll navigate from there. So, yeah, I was going to ask if Jakeem Stewart, so you think he's going to play a role this year? Because he's a big-time recruit.
He's a big-time recruit. And from my understanding, from what I'm hearing, he's doing some phenomenal things in practice. I think he's going to be a monster. I think they're going to start him off at the edge spot. He's, 6'6", 290. But, get him acclimated to the college before he goes into the interior play. So him, and then we got a guy by the name of Devin Tompkins who, man, absolutely exploded on the scene last year. He's going to do some phenomenal things. And then a guy that got hurt, Anthony Lucas, who is a big-time player. He dominated. Like, I don't know if you guys watched our LSU game, but
that was
it was a different defense.
Watched it. I was with you. We watched it together.
We watched it together. Yeah.
So we had a different defense. So we had guys coming off the edge like Anthony Lucas and Devin Tompkins. And so when we lost those two guys along with the linebacker, Eric Gentry, not Devin Tompkins, but Anthony Lucas and Eric Gentry, we just saw a different defense and the depth wasn't there. This year, I think the difference is the depth is so much more, so much stronger. You guys are going to probably see, you're probably not going to recognize our defense when you see them this year.
The defensive line is a lot bigger.
I mean,
it's a lot
way bigger. Yes.
You're Big Ten size now.
Absolutely.
That was honestly that last year we were looking at these D lines out of the Pac-12 and I was like, Oregon looks big enough, but everybody else needs to get bigger. And USC now has gotten bigger and more talented. And that's the thing. You have to be bigger and faster in the Big Ten.
Well, we did get two transfers on the D-line. We got one from Georgia, John Jarrett. We got K'Jon Silver, who was the number 1 D tackle in the transfer portal.
Yes.
So that alone, too, is really, like I said, we're going to be a different defense.
Yeah.
You literally answered all of my questions about the D-line without me asking. I appreciate that.
Hey, I guess you can tell I like talking about our team.
Yes, exactly. I guess the last thing I'm going to say, is there a role for Braylon Shelby or no? Or is he?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. The way Danton Lynn runs his defense, and Braylon Shelby's a baller. So him and Cam Fountain, I think they both are probably going to be on that edge. So edge
they're going to split time, kind of.
Yeah, probably. But I think Cam Fountain may be leading that right now. Okay. But the way our defense is ran, the edge normally stands up, and then the defensive end probably has his hand in the dirt. So you'll see the Anthony Lucas. Maybe Jakeem Stewart on the defensive end spot, and then you'll see Braylon Shelby and Cam Fountain on the edge spot. So I mean, we're loaded. So I think you kind of got to, and it's going to give those guys and be able to be fresh. You look at some of these big time teams, you see them, man. I mean, they're swapping out the whole line, in between downs, and so I think we're gonna have that type of situation, and it's gonna be different.
Little Kirby Smart style, huh? With
yes.
The line changes.
Yeah.
That drives you. That's so demoralizing when you're an offensive line. You're fighting all these guys, and you're maybe starting to you think you're starting to win, and then 4 new guys come in who are just as good, and you're like, oh man, I'm already tired. So yeah, that's tough to deal with for offensive lines where they don't rotate the way defensive lines do.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about Danton Lynn before we move on, just because I want to. He's been a revelation as DC. Played 4 years for Penn State as a corner, became a starter his junior year, signed by the Jets as a UDFA, which then after he was cut, he later joined the Jets as a seasonal intern in 2014. That's how he got his start. And then he has a really stellar, CV. Buffalo Bills defensive assistant, Los Angeles Chargers defensive assistant, Houston Texans assistant secondary coach, then later secondary coach, Baltimore Ravens safeties coach, then the UCLA DC and the USC DC. And it was an instant impact. USC was 117th in points allowed at 34.5 points per game in 2023. That is beyond abysmal. There's only 134 FBS teams. If you're 117th, that's rough. However, last year, under new defensive coordinator Danton Lynn, they rose to 46th, giving up just 24.1 points per game. That's an enormous 1 year improvement. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to see what Danton Lynn can do in year 2. So how do you feel about him, and sort of what are your expectations for him going forward?
Wow, man. I mean, I remember when we fired our defensive coordinator, I picked out a couple guys. A guy from Penn State, Manny Diaz. I had a short list. I had top three: Manny Diaz, Danton, Lynn, and what's the Wisconsin? I can't remember his name.
Jim Leonard.
Jim Leonard. And so those are like those are like the three guys. Yeah,
we know Jim well.
Yeah, so those are the three guys I had, and lo and behold, we got Danton Lynn. And one of the reasons why I really love what he was doing, because the Pac-12 at the time, which was a league that threw the ball around, we saw him change that UCLA defense from the bottom of the barrel to a top 10 defense. He literally had UCLA as a top 10 defense. And so every recruit, man, by the way, when I'm interviewing some of these recruits that I have on, I give them about 5 names. I ask them, tell me the first thought that comes to your mind. I say, give me your thoughts. So I say Lincoln Riley. I say Danton Lynn. Every time I say Danton Lynn, every single one of these recruits, they say, big time mind. That's like the first thing that comes to their mind. And so you're talking about a guy that's able to break down a defense, a guy that's innovative, a guy that knows how to utilize his personnel. And as a result, we see him being able to turn the team that was lost in all types of sauce to being like one of the best in the Pac-12 last year. So I think we saw some of that. And even when we played against him, what he did to Caleb Williams was just like, wow, and that was against UCLA. So I just think that now, matter of fact, I just did a video. When you guys go post this video, I just did a video before I came on for tomorrow morning. Is this the best talent that Danton Lynn's ever had? And I'm gonna argue that it possibly is, matching up some of our defensive tackle, some of our cornerbacks, and some of our safeties. And I think that you guys are going to see this year a Danton Lynn that's absolutely going to flourish with this defense.
Absolutely. And you mentioned him a couple times. So let's talk about linebacker. And superstar linebacker Eric Gentry returns after concussions forced him to redshirt in 2024. So that's really great to see that he's gotten better and he's ready to come back. He is an unbelievable player. Rob Ryan takes over coaching your linebackers, which is interesting. And then Desmond Stevens is an exciting name with, Roman Marchetti and Garrison Madden there for depth. So what does having Eric Gentry back do for the USC defense this year? And how do you feel about the guys around him?
Well, Eric Gentry is up. He's on the just got it yesterday. He's up for the Buckus Award watch list. He was kind of, I guess, what some people consider light. He's 6'6", 215. However, he just tipped the scale. Just found out that he's 228, so he's a bigger guy. But he's one of the most versatile. I call him a Swiss Army knife. Drop back and coverage, he can do the whole thing. Desmond Stevens, he absolutely played last year as a true freshman from Big Ten country, originally from Michigan. But he played very well against Penn State. I love what he's doing. Then we got Tamir Robertson that came from Penn State. He was the linebacker there, just transferred to us. So we have him. Then we have Jaden Walker as well, and then another guy by the name of Anthony Beaver. So now, all of a sudden, our linebacker room, it just became like one of the deepest rooms, literally like overnight. And then we moved another guy by the name of Elijah Newby from edge to linebacker, 6'3", 230. So I think I like our pieces right now.
Awesome. All right, let's talk to the place that's close. Let's talk about a place that's close to my heart always, the secondary. Returning safety Kamari Ramsey is a great player.
Yes.
And then you mentioned transfers, DJ Harvey from San Jose State and Bishop Fitzgerald from NC State, and how they're going to be good players. So who do you think starts in the other two secondary spots? And tell me that all name team candidate Prophet Brown is going to start somewhere.
I think Prophet Brown is going to start at nickel. I'll just go ahead and get that out the way. Prophet is, man, he's did a good job. He kind of waited his turn, but I think the safety spots is going to be Bishop Fitzgerald and, of course, Kamari Ramsey right there. DJ Harvey, I believe he's going to start at the corner. And it's kind of a up in the air thing right now. Chasen Johnson, he was a big cornerback that came from UCF, transferred to us. DeCarlos Nicholson, who's like a 6'4" corner, he could possibly. And then we got a couple other guys like Braylon Conley, Marcellus Williams, Isaiah Rubin. But I think that other corner is kind of up in the air. But I will say I think DJ Harvey's going to start corner and those two safeties. And so that's kind of where our secondary is, and Prophet Brown at the nickel.
Okay, that sounds awesome. Do you think there's a learning curve early in the year, or do you think this is a group that's going to hit the ground running?
I think they're going to hit the ground running based on this. We're not opening up with an LSU game like we did last year.
Right.
So we got Southwest Missouri State, who I think they just got to the Division I AA or whatever.
Yeah, Missouri. And, I think it was just this year.
Yeah, and then we got our former coach, Clay Helton, who's coaching at Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern.
Yep.
And so I think we got some games that we can kind of get acclimated and kind of work some guys in and get used to college football. So I think for that reason, and then we play a Purdue team who's projected to go. I'm not knocking no college football team, by the way, but they're projected to go last in the Big Ten. So I think if there's any learning curve, the first 3-4 games for us could be that for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sounds good. All right, let's turn and talk about the I love how you bring up all the names before I even have to ask about them all. So I appreciate that. I'm just going to say it straight up. Is this a top 25 defense this year?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're definitely hands down. We're a top 25 defense, and I think it'll show itself.
Awesome. Love that. That's going to be exciting to watch. A little more both sides of the ball. You know, USC was so offensive heavy for so many years without having the defenses you kind of saw back in the day under Pete Carroll. So it's exciting to see those days potentially return. So let's talk a little bit just briefly about the specialists. So USC will have a new kicker in Caden Chittenden, who was a freshman All-American at UNLV. So that it seems like he's a really good player. So the question is, the new punter, Sam Johnson, takes over for Ray Guy Award winner Eddie Zaplicki. So how do you feel? It seems like the kicking situation is really solid. Well, the punting situation is more of a question mark. Is that true, or do you have confidence in this new punter?
I got confidence, but we're gonna have to see. We got another guy too that came in, and he's kind of been there. I believe his name is Ryan Seriri. I believe that's his name. But I feel comfortable with some of the guys that we got. Eddie Chapinski, he was that guy last year. You won the best kicker award, so I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So but we'll see how that goes. I mean, the special teams, the jury's going to be out. You won't actually know until those guys get out there and make it happen. You know, punting is one of those things, man. You just gotta have somebody that can really do it, man. I mean, you can't be getting us no penalty, no ball that's in the middle of the 50-yard line. So we'll see what happens. But I feel confident, according to their recruiting status, what they were. I feel like they'll be all right.
Well, if you'd watched Minnesota in recent years, you'd know that punting is never a sure thing. Never a sure thing. All right, so that sounds good. Last question about the specialists. Who do you think handles kick and punt returns, and do you expect, those units to have some success this fall?
Wow. I would have said in the beginning, Makai Lemon would have been the kick return guy, but it sounds like some other guys maybe stepping up. I think we got a couple freshmen that could do it. I think the team wants to kind of preserve him and maybe not possibly put him out there, but we got guys like DJ Jordan, a couple of other guys as well that I think that could be out there, but we'll see how that goes. But and then Eli Sanders, we may possibly see him. He's a burner. So I think that hasn't been decided yet. I think that's one of those positions that's kind of like up in the air. I literally just heard that they're kind of moving some pieces around. So we got another freshman that I think could do it. Guy by the name of Nick Hines. He's a burner, super burner in track. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. Well, if you let's turn our attention to a game that we all love here at We Live for Saturday, and that is the schedule game. So let's talk about this. You kind of teased it already. Missouri State, Georgia Southern, not teams that are really going to challenge USC. Although it's worth noting that Clay Helton is doing a great job, in that role, which has been impressive to see him do that. And then you go to Purdue, and look, it was a fire sale in West Lafayette. I mean, they had a lot of players who were pretty good, even though they were bad last year. And all of those players went somewhere else. They all got bought off. I know we took one of them. You took one of them. Everybody took some Purdue players. So that's probably not going to be the most competitive game. So there you are at likely 3-0 in really good position. And then you host Michigan State. So the Spartans are an interesting team. They should be improved. Aiden Childs is a pretty good quarterback when he's not throwing interceptions. He's kind of like Jaden Maiava. He was too loose with the ball last year, but showed a lot of good things. Nick Marsh is an elite Big Ten wide receiver. And, the defense has to be better than it was last year, I assume. Under Joe Rossi, he's a pretty good defensive coordinator, even if it didn't always show up last year. So how do you feel about this Michigan State game? And what would be your prediction for it, how it goes?
I love Jonathan Smith, man. I'm just, I know him from Oregon State, of course. So he's very familiar with USC. We're very familiar with him. However, I just don't think, even though I love Childs, he's from the state of California, quarterback from Michigan State. I think we come out with this win here. I don't think they have enough for us at that particular time, but I do think they will be competitive. But I think we run away with that game.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I just think the personnel, I think Michigan State might be able to, hold their own for maybe a half. And then I think USC pulls away. I just think there's too much firepower on that offense with USC, in my opinion, especially if Jaden Maiava, can get his game, back to where you want it to be. I think that, it could be just totally on fire by the end of the third quarter.
Yeah. If this game was in East Lansing and it was later in the season, maybe when it was colder, I could talk myself into it being interesting. But no, I'm with you. I'm with both of you. I don't think it's going to be a close game. I think USC runs away with that. So at this point, you'd be 4-0, probably nationally ranked, when you head to Champaign to play a top 15 team in the Illinois Illini, a team with a great quarterback in Drew Altmaier, a great dual threat quarterback. Luke Altmaier, excuse me. They returned 16 starters, including all 8 players in the secondary. And basically, their entire team, really the only question marks they have are D-line and wide receiver. So that's going to be a big test. And I'm really curious. In how you think that game's going to play out.
I know that they were good last year. I do think that Illinois, I think their schedule was kind of suspect somewhat last year. I think that they did play a good South Carolina team in the bowl game. I watched them, incredible running quarterback, and they kind of held them in check. I told our fan base, I said, look, man, we're going to have to play Brett Bielema. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. He's going to play a physical style game. However, I think our depth is different now. I don't think they've seen, you mentioned about their DBs, and then you mentioned about the D-line. I don't think they've ever seen, especially from an offensive standpoint, anything like us. I mean, so I think that they're going to have to stop us as well. But I think if we run the ball, and that goes back to the first point that you made in the beginning, I believe that we could pull it out. And so I can't bet against our team on this, man. I'm going to give us the game. I believe we can squeak it out. We just got to play a physical style game. And I believe that we have the depth now that could neutralize some of the things that they're doing, because they're a run team. That quarterback, he only had 2,000 yards passing last year?
2,800, I think.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. Jaden Maiava had 3,000 yards his first year at UNLV. Sure, it was a little bit different competition, but I just think, we're used to more throwing than that. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from them, but I think USC could win that game.
Mm-hmm.
John, what do you think?
I mean, I think there's definitely, I think USC is going to be better this year. I think Mike and I have a little bit of PTSD with Brett Bielema. And we said this as soon as he came back to the Big Ten, that you just don't doubt him. And a lot of people were thinking, oh, he went to Illinois. Like he's, there's not much there. He's like a total dumpster fire. And we said it. We're like, just you wait, because Brett Bielema will find a way to make this team good. And lo and behold, he did in a pretty darn short period of time, even at Illinois, which is a basketball school. So I think, as of right now, I can't bet against Bielema, but I think this it's more coin flippy than what I think I may have initially thought, especially after listening to you break things down. But right now, I still have to go with Bielema just because I trust his coaching in the Big Ten. I'm still a little suspect of Riley. That's really where it's at this point.
Yeah, I think this is one of the 2 or 3 most interesting games of September. Like Illinois, Indiana, this one, Ohio State, Texas. Like those. I genuinely think this is that interesting of a game. I think it's going to be really toughly, really contested hard. I think I lean Illinois, but here's the thing. You're the guest and you've talked to me. You make a great case. Mm-hmm. And so let's put away our own opinions and let's assume that USC gets to 5-0. You get to 5-0 and if you beat Illinois, like you're saying you're gonna be ranked in the top 10, 15.
Absolutely.
Like no question about it, because they're a top 15 team. I don't think they're going to lose before they play you. I think they're going to find a way to beat Indiana and Duke. And so I think they'll still be really highly ranked. So that would be really interesting because then you set up against a Michigan team. And here's the thing. Michigan always has great athletes, just like USC. Right. Michigan will always have elite talent on the defensive line. I mean, they are absolute killers up there. They're going to be great on defense in general. They're going to be able to run the ball. The question is, who is Bryce Underwood as a freshman?
Who
is he?
That's a huge question. And I say the same thing that I said about Hassan Longstreet. That transition, you come into the Coliseum, man. We'll talk about the game. We could go back to the game. That game, USC was kind of robbed in that game. Some calls, questionable calls. And by the way, Grant, the defensive tackle, both of those big boys, Josiah Stewart on the
Graham
edge.
And Grant are gone. Yeah.
Grant and Grant, and then Josiah Stewart. Yep. Like that is some high production, man. Like you can't lose that type of production and think you're gonna maintain the same type of winnability. So I think this is so many factors into this game. Number one is payback for what happened at the Coliseum. And I really think, I just think it's not, for me, it's not even a question. I think we win this game. I mean, we're all mad about this game. We're mad about what happened last year and went to the fourth quarter. One tackle away, and Mullins ran up the middle. I'm picking us, easily picking us. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy game, but I'm just saying based on the emotions, all that's involved, the talent, I think we win this game.
There are 2 things I love about this game for you. 1, it's at home. 2, you get a bye week to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. And if Lincoln Riley is who Lincoln Riley says he is, which is one of the greatest offensive minds in college football, then with 2 weeks to prepare, he ought to be ready to rip it. Mm-hmm. If he comes out in that game and does anything short of scoring a ton of points, then I have serious questions. So I'm with you. I think if this game was later in the year, I could maybe talk myself into Bryce Underwood's going to be ready for it and all that kind of stuff. But I do think at this point in the schedule, where you get them, the fact you have a bye before, the fact that it's at home, it does all seem like I still think it's a close game, but I do think USC finds a way to win.
Yeah, I'm actually really jealous that you're playing Michigan this year because I wish we were, and I wish
we got robbed. Yeah, we got robbed to the jug.
Hey, they cheated you guys, man. I remember a holding call. I mean, like the referee wasn't even. I don't know what the referee was doing. I was watching that game.
We recover an onside kick, and they called offside, and we weren't, and they apologized later. They're like, "Oh, I guess you were right." It's like, well, can we have the win then?
Yeah, we were rolling. Like they couldn't stop us in the second half, and there was no doubt we were going to win that game, and the refs handed it to Michigan. So I wish we were. I wish we had.
So we understand how you feel is what we're saying.
Absolutely.
We understand how you feel, and I'm glad that we don't get a shot for revenge until 2026. but I'm glad you get the shot for revenge this year. And yeah, I think you get it.
I think so too. Yeah, I'm picking USC in this exactly. Like, you get that bye week to prepare. I think Michigan, not that they really rebuild, but there's a bigger transition here. And so I think that with the experience and with the talent that USC is bringing back, I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout or anything like that, but I think that USC pulls it out for sure.
Yeah. So that's really interesting, because if you beat Illinois, then that puts you at 6-0, and you'd be 6-0 with a win over Michigan and a win over a top 15 team in Illinois. That sets up a great rivalry matchup in South Bend against the Irish. And the Irish, man, honestly, we're talking about Michigan. We're talking about Notre Dame. We know the defense is going to be great. We know the running game is going to be great. Who is CJ Carr?
And that's the thing. I don't think we knew what the quarterback was last year. He was a transfer that came in. Where did he come from? Wake Forest he came from Wake Forest, right?
No, Wake Forest was Sam Hartman.
No, Sam Hartman.
That was the one before.
The quarterback last year came from
last year he came from Duke, right?
He came from Duke. I know he came from one of those North Carolina schools.
Yep.
But he was decent. However, they still have the running back coming back, man. He's an absolute monster.
Jeremiah Love is the best running back in college.
Jeremiah Love he's a problem. They got another running back, I think, behind him that's pretty good.
Yep.
Some strong linebackers, man. I just I don't know what they have at quarterback either. And if I give us one loss, you had to ask me if I had to say one loss. I hate to say it. I know our fan base is going to see this. I don't want our fan base, but I feel like we can win every game. But if I had to give us one loss, I would say this will be the loss if I had to give us one loss. But I feel like it's a winnable game. But I'm just gonna say L, man. We're gonna take an L right here. And we'll see what happens. But I think we can win the game.
Yeah, look, you're USC. All your games are winnable. It's not a thing where there are any games on that schedule that aren't winnable. But I am with you on this. I think Notre Dame, because of that running game and defense, and because the game is in South Bend, I think the Irish, and also the Irish
super hostile environment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it'll be a great game, but I do think that Notre Dame finds a way to pull it out. And I just think even if CJ Carr isn't great, I just think their run game is so nasty. Yeah. It's not going to matter that much. So yeah, I've got Notre Dame in that one. John, what do you think?
Well, look, I'm going to be rooting for USC big time in this one.
Oh, absolutely. I can't stand the Irish.
Yeah. Anytime that you see the Irish lose it's a good Saturday. It's a good day. So, but I gotta say, yeah, man, I mean, until I see somebody really shut down Jeremiah Love, I have to go with the Irish in this one again. And it's at home. So like you said, a hostile environment, but it is a rivalry game, man. Funny things happen in rivalry games, and so hopefully the ball bounces your way. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be cheering hard for you. I was taught to hate Notre Dame from an early age. I don't remember when Notre Dame stole Lou Holtz from Minnesota, but my dad does, and he taught me to always dislike the Irish. So we are with you there. We're in solidarity, sir. And then what I love is that you have 2 weeks to get ready to go to Lincoln. And again, this is another Lincoln Riley. You get 2 weeks to get ready and to get healthy and to, get back. And at this point, you should be hungry, potentially coming off a loss, 6-1, still probably ranked in the top 15. And then you go to Lincoln. And look, Nebraska, I think Dylan Raiola's really good. I think their passing game is going to be nasty. Dana Holgerson's a great offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
their defense should be pretty good, but they had a lot to replace on the defensive line, losing Nash Hutmacher and Ty Robinson in the middle. Right. And those guys were game wreckers. Yeah. Those guys made it so you couldn't run the ball. So my question is, can Nebraska still stop the run at an elite level? But even if they can, my problem is that I don't think their running backs are any good. I don't think their running backs are any good. And I think with below average running backs, you can make them one-dimensional. Mm-hmm. And with 2 weeks to get ready, I'm going to say not only does USC win, but you win convincingly. And those Cornhusker fans are heading for the exits in the third quarter. I'm calling my shot.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. I totally agree. And by the way, this was Jaden Mayava's first game last year as a starting quarterback.
Right.
Came out with the W. We saw him running a little bit. So, and then we saw Dylan Raiola, man, when you put the pressure on him and the pocket collapses a little bit, he tends to kind of be, kind of crazy with the football and it could be turnover prone. So I just think that with that, I think that we can, and then the big time defensive coordinator, Tony, what was his last name?
Tony White.
What was his name?
Tony White.
Yeah, he's where's he at? Florida State now, I think.
Yeah.
I think he was a great asset. Matter of fact, he was one of those guys that had been rumored to possibly USC possibly interview. I think he was a phenomenal defensive coordinator. To your point, though, I think Dana Hoverson, he's a good offensive coordinator. But Dylan Raiola, I just think if we put pressure on him, I think we could cause some problems. My biggest concern with Nebraska is probably just the environment more than the players. It can be a hostile environment, man, and I think that's something that, as long as we calm our nerves down, I think we're gonna come out with a W.
Yeah, I'm picking a W on this as well. Yeah, it's a hostile environment. They could look. They're going to be dangerous. I mean, there is no doubt about it that Nebraska is dangerous, and if you're not, prepared for them, which I do think you will, like you talked about with the bye, Mike, I think that it's going to be fine. Again, this is just another instance of USC just having more talent on the field and the ability to prepare for 2 weeks. So yeah, I'm picking USC.
Yeah. All right. So that would bring us in to the last 4 games with USC with just 1 loss. And then you get to host the Northwestern Wildcats. Look, I think Northwestern's going to be better this year. I think Preston Stone's a big upgrade at quarterback. I think their defense is pretty good. Their D-line in particular is good. So they should be better. They'll be more competitive in more games. My problem with Northwestern is they lost their skill positions and they brought in like 1 good transfer wide receiver. So if you can stop Griffin Wilde, I don't know where they're going to go. And I don't love their running backs either. So I've got USC in this one. I think it's convincing.
No, I don't even have to elaborate on that too much. Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's a home game as well. I just think we'll be too much. If we just go athlete for athlete, I think USC has too much for a team like Northwestern. Not taking anything away from them, but I just think we win this.
Agreed. I don't really have anything to add for sure.
All right, then you've got a game that USCJ. I just got to say, you might think Iowa's not hard, but they're so hard to play. And their special teams are going to be better than yours no matter what. And their punter's going to kick it to the moon somehow every year, no matter who it is. And they have maybe the best offensive line in the Big Ten, arguably. They have a good running game, and they have a quarterback now who can actually throw the ball. Their defense is fantastic always. But who are they throwing it to? Who are they throwing it to? Because
absolutely.
If they're going to be one-dimensional is what I think. And I think the fact that the new quarterback Gronowski is a dual threat means that that'll open up things in the run game because he's a number you have to account for, and you have to make sure somebody is on him in case he keeps the ball. So I think that's going to help Iowa's running attack. They haven't really had a dual threat quarterback since Brad Banks.
Literally. Hey, literally, and Brad Banks, I think it was Carson Palmer, we went up against them. We beat them in the Orange Bowl back in the day. But this doesn't even seem like a Iowa-style quarterback to me, and it's weird. So, who are they going to throw it to? I did watch them play against you guys last year. They had some success throwing the ball a little bit, but I do think they played against UCLA last year. UCLA took them down when they came to the West Coast last year. So I just think that, we got way more than UCLA, and, they're coming back to the West Coast. I don't know if it's a trip or what, but they just look like a different Iowa team. I think they were kind of somewhat exposed to some of the athletes, and I think we'll probably have too much for them. So, not to take anything away, I think they're going to be tough-nosed football, similar to you guys, but I think we'll have too much. We got more depth, and I think we win this game.
Well, with Iowa, yes, I got to say, I think you win this game, but knowing Iowa as well as we do, there's a lot of games that you think Iowa should lose, and somehow in the most frustrating fashion, they win. They'll kick a field goal or they'll get a pick six. And
you'll look up halfway through the fourth quarter, and you'll have twice as much offense as them.
Yes,
and it'll be tied, and you'll be like, "What happened? I don't understand." So John, I'm with you. I think USC wins, but I think it's ugly.
Yeah.
I think Iowa makes it ugly and scary, and I think this will be USC's been riding high. Nebraska, Northwestern, big wins there. I think Iowa brings you back to earth just a little bit, but I still think you win.
Yeah.
So that sets up, if you are then, with just the one loss, that sets up an absolutely huge game in Eugene against the Ducks. And man, is Oregon good. I mean, Mateo Uiagalelei is a great defensive end. I forget what the other one's name is on the other side, but he's just as good.
Didn't he go to draft? Jordan transfer from South Carolina
from last year, yeah. But the guy who's back this year is still really good.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
They got a ton of transfers. They're really deep and talented across the defense. Their offense is, they've got skilled guys everywhere. I will say they lost Evan Stewart, which is a big deal. He was going to be their top wide receiver. And again, by this time in the season, either Dante Moore is going to be a great quarterback or Austin Novosad is going to be the one playing. That's what I think. I don't think there's a world where Dante Moore has like an average season. If he's having an average season, Austin Novosad is supposed to be really good. I think they'll turn to him, but I don't know, man. I trust Will Stein. I trust Oregon. I think it's tough for USC that this game's on the road. I think I lean Oregon here, but I got to know what you think.
It's so many underlying things that a lot of fans outside of USC and Oregon probably wouldn't know, man. We literally hate Oregon. I mean, we hate them. This is going, we hate them. I hate Oregon just as much as Notre Dame, probably just as much as UCLA. But I think that USC, the biggest thing with them, to you guys' point, I think they got lucky, man, with having the quarterback, Dylan Gabriel, and then
he was really good.
Yeah, the quarterback before that, they had Bo Nix, two great quarterbacks. One that came from Auburn, and then the other one came from Oklahoma, and then Central Florida before that. I just feel like Deontay Moore. I don't think he's a guarantee, and I think that the decision making has to be on point. Especially we're going to be strong on the defensive backfield as well as the defensive line. So I think we can add pressure to him. I'm giving us a W based on the fact that no, it's not going to be easy, but I think that USC is going to be a lot better than what a lot of people think, and I think we can go in there. And by the way, Phil Steele, he's picking us to go to the playoffs this year. I don't know if you knew that, but I think a lot of people didn't do their due diligence as far as the personnel that's came in and out, and as a result, I think we're going to be better than a lot of people think. And based on my information, for what I know about this team and being around Oregon, I just feel like USC could come out. Not saying it's going to be easy, but I think we could come out with a W.
So we got 1 for and 1 against, John. Who do you think?
I mean, as of right now, because it's at Autzen, I have to pick Oregon, but I think it's a coin flip, man. I think it's mostly a coin flip. I'm leaning Oregon. I think I agree with your points. I think that it could absolutely go in USC's favor. And I still think, even with this loss against Oregon, that USC has a really good shot at getting into college football playoff either way.
Oh, if you go 10-2 against the schedule, you're getting in. So we'll say you have either 1 or 2 losses at that point, one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get to host the Battle of Los Angeles against UCLA. And here's the thing about UCLA. They were tougher than I thought last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they played hard. They weren't like really talented, but they played hard. They were pretty good on defense, good enough anyway. And the offense wasn't very good, but there was a lot of effort there. And I think Deshaun Foster is a decent coach, and he's clearly his guys care about him and want to play for him. That said, I don't trust Nico Iamaleava. I don't trust him as far as I could throw him. He apparently threatened to hold out of the college football playoff last year if he didn't get paid more. And now he's got way worse players around him. And you're telling me that he's going to be as better than he was last year on a team that had, better receivers and a much better defense? I think the Nico thing's a disaster. I think UCLA is in trouble by this point in the season. And I think USC can name its score here.
I think we'll win this game. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. I think we got the better personnel, got the better transfers that came in. Nico is a Southern California guy, so it's just like the bad blood with Oregon. I think it's going to be a lot of emotions in there. So when you get those type of rivalry games, people tend to play better than what they usually are. And so, I think we're going to come out ahead on that. But I think they're going to play tough.
Okay. Yeah, I don't. But John, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I was surprised at UCLA's defense last year. I think that they're still gonna be pretty solid. I think overall their talent might actually be a little better, but I don't believe in Nico. I really just don't, for the same reasons that Mike said. I just think he's, not to say he couldn't put it together, now he's closer to home, that could maybe help him, in certain ways psychologically, but everything we've heard and all the rumors, which, I feel like, even though it's not necessarily confirmed on all things, I think that the fact that it's like, those are even out there and they're not really being hotly debated. It's kind of like, everybody's kind of like, yeah, probably, makes me think that he could be a problem. And also think about the locker room. Not only if he's problematic, but losing Joey Aguilar, who was supposedly
a great leader.
Yes, and the locker room loved him.
That whole situation was so.
And he knew the offense, and it worked with those guys. Whereas Nico had to spend the summer trying to learn a new offense.
Yep.
And also, the offense Nico was in Tennessee is a notoriously QB-friendly offense.
Mm-hmm.
The offense Tino Sunseri runs, which is similar to what he did at Indiana, I think is harder to run.
Yeah,
probably. And because of that, so I just think UCLA is sledding uphill this year.
Yeah. I think losing Joey Aguilar, someone who had already won over the locker room, worked hard to get there and learn that offense. And so Nico's walking into a problem already. And if he's problematic on top of it, it could be just a nightmare.
Yeah.
Not to say it's guaranteed.
Didn't the quarterback go to Tennessee? He went to Tennessee.
They switched.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah. Modern college football, man, it's the craziest thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's wild. All right, so let's not bury the lead, though, John. If things work out, we'll say you were outvoted, but even if you weren't, 10-2 or 11-1, that's a playoff bid.
Yep.
That's potentially hosting a playoff game. At 11-1, that's playing for the Big Ten title. So that would be a monster season. That'd be big for USC and for Lincoln Riley and for this whole program and its second run around in the Big Ten. It would show Oregon that you guys are there to be, are a force on the West Coast as well.
No, I totally agree. And as we stated earlier on the show, we got the number one class, and I think keep this class. I will say at least a 9-3 record. I know winning and NIL and all that stuff is a part of it, but we got to win. We gotta win on the field. And so, I totally agree with you, man. It'd be a successful season, man, if we go 10-2 or 11-1.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, get to the playoff and/or have a shot to win a Big Ten title. CJ, some of us have been waiting our entire natural lives for a Big Ten title, and it hasn't happened. So if you win one, I'm just saying, don't take it for granted. It's a big deal. Like I know some Oregon fans were like, "Oh, we just won the Big Ten." I was like, "What do you mean you just won the Big Ten? You won the Big Ten. That's a big accomplishment. It's obviously you want to win a national title, right? That's the goal of every program. But like if you do get a shot to play for the Big Ten, that's a big deal too.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, this has been really great, sir, having you on the program. Thank you so much. I totally forgot to say before we started, but if you could please send me a logo of your podcast, and some sort of pic of you, then we can put that when we advertise the episode. Would really appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
And
absolutely,
just thank you so much for coming on, and please plug your stuff again before you go. It is the best USC podcast out there. I can attest to that, of all the ones I've heard, and we did some research for this show. So it is awesome. I urge you all to go subscribe to it right now, immediately.
Hey, man. Hey, thank you guys for having me on, man. You guys are well informed, man. And look, man, I'm going to promote you guys' the show just like you guys promote me, man. Because, I mean, hey, one thing about it, man, it's always this term we use in church, fellowshipping, man. It's just good to do along with other fan base, man. And so I definitely appreciate you guys. And it is USCJ on YouTube, USCJ Lost of the Sauce podcast on YouTube, USCJ on Twitter and Instagram or X. And you can find me there, man.
Yep, and we will have the YouTube and your Twitter, because I don't call it X. Twitter.
I still call it Twitter, man. I got a hard time with that.
Yeah, linked. I'll have it. I won't do it for philosophical reasons, but that's a whole different podcast. All right. Well, thank you so much, sir, for coming on the pod, and we will talk to you very soon.
Appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you.
Guys, take care, man.
You
hey,
too.
fight on, everybody.
All right. Thank you, sir.
That was
awesome.
Great. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was so cool.
Yeah.
It was awesome of CJ to come on. Mm-hmm. And man, his podcast is great. Everyone should go, seriously, go subscribe to it right now. Mm-hmm. It's good stuff. And I mean, you heard him. You heard the man. He's awesome.
Well, he's obviously well informed. He's also just exciting to listen to. That goes a long way. Having somebody that really keeps your attention and continues to keep that flow going. And I really appreciate that about him. And that's why this went fast. I think this is the shortest team breakdown with a guest that we've had. So,
but I don't feel like we cut anything short.
No, I don't think so either. We just
we got to everything. He was just on point with all his bullets and his his sound bites and all that kind of stuff. It was great.
Well, I think
loved it.
We also don't have a long history, so there wasn't as many callbacks,
inside jokes.
Yeah, inside jokes or
true.
Callbacks to yesteryear type thing.
We can save it the next time we have him on. We can blow V8.
Yes,
and really go off on a side tangents, like we do with some of our good friends of the pod. I was just thinking. I was actually just thinking of Big Ten Ted.
Yes, exactly.
And yes, we can get on side tangent, or Big Kurt. We can get on side tangent after side tangent. With some of those guys for sure. But he was great, dude. I'm gonna be honest, he almost had me wanting to pick USC over Illinois.
Same.
You and we both held strong.
Yeah.
And I do think Illinois wins that game, but that's gonna be a game, man.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a big game.
Well, and I mean, it's I also think with and they will learn with some of these new teams particularly with Iowa. I do, and I still stand strong on the fact that I'm picking USC to win this game, but I will not sit here being gobsmacked that Iowa somehow does some magician magic trick to win that freaking game.
I think Iowa's going to win 9 or 10 games this year.
Yeah. And it's going to be in the most frustrating fashion possible. And the fans will love and hate it because that's what they always do. And if you lose to Iowa, or even if you win, it's never going to feel good.
Dude, fact that they have a dual threat quarterback, they might not throw it at all.
Yeah.
They might run it 75% of the third. I'm not even, well, maybe not 75. They might run it 67% of the time. A lot.
Yeah.
2/3, 2 out of and because their offensive line is so good.
Yeah. Why not?
So why not? And you have a dual threat quarterback. So in the past, the defense doesn't have to worry about the Iowa quarterback. So they just try to tackle the running back. Well, now you have to worry about the quarterback.
Yeah, and I
mean, again, Brad Banks, not saying this is going to happen, but Iowa won a Big Ten title with Brad Banks.
Well, and I also think that, USC, teams like USC are not used to having games slow down as much as Kirk Ferentz will slow that game down. And you
limit possessions.
Yeah.
And then if you have a couple 3 and outs, your rhythm is off.
Yep.
And it gets frustrating. Dude, I'm not going to be surprised. I'm going to pick USC in that game because I think they have more talent, and also this is a USC preview. But I'm not going to be surprised if Iowa wins that game at all.
No. I agree. I think it's also, I have to pick USC, but We've just seen it too many times, and I think we've talked about it before as well. Even if USC does win, I think they're gonna. You said it, how it'll be a relief rather than this like feeling like, oh man, we won that game. That feels so good. You're gonna be like, thank God that's over. Thank God.
Yeah, it's just you're not running roughshod all over the Big Ten anymore.
Yeah,
like unless you're like unless it's all the stars align, or it's like an Ohio State situation where you're just Oregon's gotten there. USC's not there yet.
Yeah.
But
they're getting real close, though.
They're getting there. And we've seen in our lifetime with Pete Carroll, it can still be done in LA for sure. Yeah. So that was really fun, John. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we can wrap it up then. Yeah. Awesome.
We did all the things. Good for us.
All the things and the stuff. We nailed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, again, thank you so much for our guest. It was amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and we will definitely be posting this probably tomorrow morning.
Yep.
So if you want to find We Live for Saturday to everybody else, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Podcast Addict. You can find us on Twitter at We Live for B1GSat. You can find Mike at Alibaba26. You can find me, John, at Norwegian Gopher, and you can email us, We Live for Saturday, b1g@gmail.com. Please follow, like, subscribe, retweet, tweet, all that good stuff. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, subscribe to the YouTube especially. That helps us the most of all. So if you're audio only, please do that, as you know. But if you're also new, please subscribe. We cover all the Big Ten teams equally, pretty much.
Yep.
And not a lot of people are doing that. And, we get some awesome guests on the pod, like tonight with you, USCJ.
Yeah.
So that was really fun. I'm excited about that. And John, we only have 3 previews left and we're done. And we're going to knock them out in the next week. So we're going to knock them out. Today is, as we record this, it's Sunday, August 3rd. We're going to knock out our 3 previews in the next week. And then starting after that on August 10th, we are going to turn our attention to the actual football season.
Yeah.
No more previews. No more of that. So 3 more, but then no more.
Yes.
And then we're turned to the season, and we're going to have a really awesome episode where we do some different things, where we go over, we're going to have one where we go over all of the group, or not all, but some of the big group of 5 games with a group of 5 expert. And yeah, if you have any suggestions for what you want to see us do in between the time we finish previews and start the regular season, let us know. We got about 18 days.
Yeah.
To jam in as much content as we can and talk as much about football as we can, because as soon as the ball is kicked, that's all gone and it's different. And that's why we love this sport.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks for coming.
We'll take it easy, everybody, and we will see you in the next one.